Okay, excellent. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you've had a very good lunch. I certainly did. I particularly enjoyed the desserts. The pudding with the cream was very nice. So we have a very tough job to build off this morning's sessions, which were very rich, to learn about all the progress that's being made in African countries on this agenda. This session this afternoon will be focused on use cases. So whilst a lot of the content this afternoon, not exclusively, but a lot of it was about how many people are registered, how systems are being set up, this afternoon in this session we'll be learning about how these systems are being used and how they're contributing to digital transformation and improving lives and livelihoods. And we're very fortunate that we have representatives from various parts of the world. We have the Philippines, India, Tunisia, and Brazil. When I asked AI what is very common among these countries, to be honest, it didn't come up with a very good answer. But the one thing that did stick out is all 4 countries are very multilingual, right? And I was surprised about Brazil, actually. Brazil has more than 200 languages in the country, which was very fascinating for me to learn. So we'll be hearing from the Philippines, Miss Emily Pagador, who is the Assistant National Statistician at the PhilSys Registry Office in the Philippine Statistics Authority. Even though her title is statistician, she doesn't know anything about statistics. She's actually the equivalent of a deputy director or director. From India, we'll have Dr. Prabal Pratap, who is a technology director in the Aadhaar usage division of the Unique ID Authority in India. And then from Tunisia, you may see a different gentleman up there. Unfortunately, Mr. Sofiane could not join us, but we have Mr. Helmi Soltani, who is in the General Directorate for Information Management in the Ministry of Interior of Tunisia. And then finally, Brazil, Eduardo del FILHO, apologies if I mispronounced that, who is the project lead for ID in the Digital Government Secretariat. I'm going to ask each of our speakers to present, and then we'll do question and answers at the end, and hopefully to have some lively discussion among the panelists. So I would encourage you, please, to access Slido. Don't put any funny questions. I saw someone had a marriage proposal during the last session. So I'm single, so maybe if you want to propose, I'm available. I don't know about the rest of the panel, but anyway, so without further ado, Emily, please, the floor is yours to present. Thank you. You have 15 minutes.
Okay, good afternoon to everyone, and the pressure is on to keep you all awake, so I hope you won't fall asleep with my presentation. So to start with, good day to all of us. On behalf of Undersecretary Claire Dennis Mapa, the Philippines National Statistician and Civil Registrar General, I'm thrilled to be here with you all and share the incredible journey of the Philippine Identification System, or the PhilSys, in implementing the national ID since its kickoff in 2020. So the Philippines is an archipelago comprising over 7,000 islands with a total recorded population of 109,035,343. This geographical setup has presented unique challenges and opportunities in the implementation of PhilSys, requiring innovative solutions to ensure inclusivity and accessibility across the nation's varied regions. The Philippine Statistics Authority, being the lead agency for this implementation, spearheaded a range of registration initiatives and strategies to bridge gaps and reach as many people as possible, especially the poor and vulnerable who lack identification documents. There is PhilSys on Wheels, paving the way in rural areas and less traveled localities. PhilSys on Boat, chartering waters to ensure even those in the farthest flung islands are not left behind. Mobile registration units are always on standby, ready to set up whenever needed, even going door to door to reach those unable to step outside. and institutional registration. We're tapping into existing networks to make sure no one slips through the cracks. This includes registration conducted in barangays, schools, government agencies or institutions, partnerships, caravans, and job fairs. As of May 6, 2024, we have already registered 86,804,629 Filipinos registered with national ID. This accounts to 94.4% of our target population. With a national ID, we are not just collecting numbers, we are touching lives, one registration at a time, on our journey towards a more inclusive Philippines. The PhilSys is the fundamental platform for unlocking potential many types of transactions that are necessary in digital economies and societies. The PhilSys will transform how services are delivered in the Philippines and accelerate our transition to enable presence-less, cashless, and paperless transactions. These are enabled through integration of application programming interfaces or APIs designed to ensure secure authentication. Through this, Filipinos are now able to verify their identity seamlessly without the need to physically present identification documents with just their PhilSys card number. With a fingerprint scan or iris or face authentication, we could swiftly authenticate or verify their identity. The national ID isn't just about fancy technology. Oops, one moment, technical problem. It's a beacon of consumer empowerment, as they would have a choice on what data to share and for what purpose. PhilSys is implemented using the Modular Open Source Identity Platform, or MOSIP, a digital public good that meets the criteria of vendor independence, reusability, interoperability, privacy, and security. This is the heart of PhilSys, an initiative to reshape how we interact with commerce, governance, and daily life. With this, the Philippines has achieved significant milestones by successfully rolling out biometric authentication through the national ID for the application of civil registry documents. Currently, the authentication service is now available to all 10 civil registry system outlets nationwide, with plans to expand to more outlets. Since its launch in April 2023, the implementation has shown promising results, and as of May 6, 2024, out of the 59,476 total authentication transactions, 58,000 or 98% were recorded as successful authentication. We also employ these services to our social protection programs under the department which leads the social protection and poverty reduction in the country. We tested implementing our offline authentication to confirm the identities of individuals applying for the Assistance to Individuals or Families in Crisis Situation, or the IX program. The IX provides assistance for medical, funeral, education, and transportation expenses. And in July 7, 2023, the Philippines piloted the open source government-to-person or Open G2P service delivery platform with the support of the International Institute of Information Technology Bangalore, or the IIITB, to enhance service delivery processes. The Open G2P application integrated the PhilSys' offline authentication process for client identity verification. This activity resulted in 100% offline verified identities. In February 2024, we conducted the registration and authentication process to attendees of the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program, or the 4Ps, Family Development Sessions. FDS is a mandatory monthly parent group activity for conditional cash transfer grantees. As of May 8, 2024, a total of 1,072,241 online biometric authentications, there are 94.2% that is successful matches. To advance the country's vision for the presence-less, cashless, and paperless transactions across all public and private institutions, the Philippines has developed a user-friendly, web-based platform that aims to simplify and accelerate the integration process. Through this platform, priority use cases have been identified from some of the Philippines' largest government agencies. This includes the annual pensioners' information revalidation for our pension system, online registration and update system for State Revenue Service, online dispute resolution for Government's Credit Bureau, eKYC digital onboarding platform, and a mobile application onboarding system and identity verification system for financial and private institutions, and other use cases in the pipeline. With the National ID E-Verify platform, any government agency or institution can easily integrate with services in National ID. To support the financial inclusion agenda of the current administration, we implemented the co-location strategy with a financial institution supervised by the regulatory body in the Philippines. This co-location strategy aims to increase the number of Filipinos with accounts from formal financial institutions. It allows PhilSys registrants to open transactional bank accounts with the co-locating bank using the same supporting documents presented during PhilSys registration. And in 2024, the co-location will be expanded to include mobile registration that would widen its scope and be able to reach far-flung and marginalized areas that still have a high number of unbanked population. The co-location was piloted by the Land Bank of the Philippines from 2021 to 2022. The co-location has successfully onboarded 8.4 million unbanked registrants as of December 31, 2022. The registrants have utilized their transactional cards amounting to 275.8 million. Based on the data from Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, or the Central Bank of the Philippines, the co-location activity of PSA and Land Bank have greatly contributed in the increase of the number of Filipinos who open basic deposits account. In the latter part of 2022, a total of 7.5 million additional BDAs were recorded as a result of this co-location strategy. A total of 170% increase in the number of BDAs to 21.9 million in the first quarter of 2023 and 8.1 million in the first quarter of 2022. With this data, the PSA is in collaboration with relevant agencies have successfully brought unbanked PhilSys registrants into the formal banking system. Implementing a national ID system is a pivotal step for any country representing progress towards a more efficient and inclusive society. We strengthen the implementation of our identification. First, ensure inclusive implementation of the national ID. We brought the PhilSys registration closer to the Filipino people in far-flung areas through the implementation of mobile registrations, PhilSys on wheels and on boat. Local government unit and school-based registration were also conducted through institutionalized registration. The PSA also launched the PhilSys Birth Registration Assistance Project, or the PBRAP, which aims to help the marginalized in securing their birth registration by leveraging on the benefits and usage of the national ID. We in the PSA highly recommend that efforts must be made to reach even the most marginalized and vulnerable communities to ensure that no one is left behind in the implementation of the national ID. Number 2, expand and build collaborative partnerships. National scale implementation of PhilSys requires active participation from both the public and the private sectors. The PhilSys Policy and Coordination Council, or PSPCC, were established to ensure effective coordination and implementation of the PhilSys. It is composed of senior officials from different government agencies. The Council formulates policies and guidelines and facilitates interagency cooperation and collaboration. The PSA also acknowledges the significant role of the private sector in the implementation of the national ID by forging partnerships with relevant private institutions and organizations for the promotion of acceptance of the national ID, ensuring maximum efficiency and providing seamless private transactions to all Filipino citizens. Third, invest and plan for further improvement. PSA is in the process of establishing a sustainability plan for the PhilSys and the national ID. Research, engagements, and partnership with the public and private institutions were being conducted and explored to ensure sustainability, especially in terms of interoperability, security and privacy, long-term maintenance, and financial and operational stability. Indeed, flexible planning and proper investment through expansion of networks and collaborative partnerships are needed for continuous improvement to minimize destructive impact and ensure sustainability on the implementation of the national ID. Last, increase and maintain public trust. PSA upholds integrity and transparency through ensuring data privacy and security of the personal information captured during PhilSys registration. This is through the utilization of digital technologies like digital registration kits, biometric devices, and compliance with international and local standards for data privacy. Built on a privacy by design principle, PSA adopts the latest technology and innovations, underscoring the importance of the privacy of individuals and the security of information under the system. Indeed, efforts must be made to gain public trust and confidence, which in return would secure their voluntary participation and compliance. And in closing, let us carry forward the spirit of inclusivity, collaboration, and progress that defines the journey of PhilSys. Together, let us build a future where every individual, regardless of background or circumstances, is recognized and empowered by their government. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Emily, for that presentation and for staying nearly within the time frame. I'm going to ask you one question, so have your microphone handy, right? Because I've had the great privilege of working with you and the PSA team on the development and deployment of PhilSys. I'm going to come to the audience questions later, but I want to ask you one specific thing. What has been the challenges with getting other agencies to integrate with PhilSys, right? If you can briefly touch on that.
Okay. Actually, it's so easy to convince the people in the management or in the upper level. It's bringing it down to their workers or the one that's really going to go to the fields that is quite harder. So the change in their processes, these are the people that will implement the change in the processes. So that's one of our hurdles in implementing our use cases, especially since these are the people that we deal with. So I think a good change management plan for each agencies should be adopted. So it's not enough to just convince the head of the agency to integrate with your system. You need to really be able to help the agency that will integrate craft their change management plan to make it easy for their employees to work on it.
So in other words, it's a lot of effort.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Emily, again. So now, Dr. Pratap, I'm going to invite you to please present India's very extraordinary story of impact through digital identity. Please, you have 15 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to give thanks to Dr. Ettrick, Jonathan, and ID4 for inviting us here. So, my topic is the benefits of Aadhaar as a DPI in India. Aadhaar is now one of the largest identity, about 1.4 billion resident of India. We will be touch upon the following sections: introduction to India's stack, introduction to Aadhaar and major Aadhaar use cases, and impact of Aadhaar. Introduction to India's digital public infrastructure is famously known as India Stack. If you see the India's digital inclusion story, it's based on three things: account opening, payment, and lending. So any postal worker equipped with any POS device, equipped with a biometric, so he can go to the doorstep and open a bank account within a few minutes. In the payments, a smartphone user can make a cashless payment to any vendor within a few seconds by scanning a simple QR code. And user can also avail the facility of loan in less than 5 minutes through the electronic consent-based data sharing mechanism. Digital identity, Aadhaar, a foundation layer for all the layer of India stack. Presenceless layer. There is no need to require the physically presence of anyone. So this is done through the Aadhaar authentication. Paperless layer. No need to carry any physical documents or removal of wet signatures also. This is by the DigiLocker, Aadhaar e-sign, Aadhaar e-KYC. Cashless layer, mobile payments, UPIs, and mobile payment wallets. So all these things are possible with the help of digital identity. Consent layer, digital Personal Data Protection Act, account aggregator. Introduction to Aadhaar. In 2024, more than 99% of India's adult population and more than 95% of total population they have the formal identification in the form of Aadhaar. Daily, 70 million authentication transaction per day happens, and still India's system, UIDI system is robust and strong. There is no such major downtime error happens. 114 billion total authentication transactions done. Among the key design features of Aadhaar, this is the important design features. First is inclusive. All the residents can get Aadhaar irrespective of their age, religion, gender, and caste. We have the security by design. Aadhaar is the purpose neutral and have a features strong data encryption tokenization. Privacy by design. Aadhaar is the features of virtual ID and biometric locking for the consent management transparency. Aadhaar holder can access their transaction log anytime. Accessibility. Multimodal identity verification is there. Aadhaar can be verified through the biometric, OTP, and offline modes also. Aadhaar is developed on a principle of collecting the minimum data. Friends, this is the actual reason why Aadhaar as a digital identity is spread whole over in the length and breadth of India, because we are collecting the minimum data so that people, they don't hesitate to share their data. We are taking the 4 demographics: name, address, gender, and date of birth, and 3 biometrics: photograph, fingerprint, and iris. This goes to one-to-n match in CIDR. This is the UIDI database for the uniqueness matching. After that, this gives the 12-digit true random number. That number is the Aadhaar. When we have the 2 optional fields, mobile and email ID. Identity verification through Aadhaar can be completed in different modalities. If you see in yes or no authentication, this gives the response in form of yes or no only. In eKYC based authentication, after 1:1 match as the CIDR UIDI database, this gives a response in the form of digitally signed eKYC data. For offline verification, this gives response in the digitally signed eKYC data. During the Aadhaar authentication, the resident biometric data remains secured and encrypted, whether it is form in the motion or in the rest form. Friends, some important Aadhaar use cases are for direct benefit transfer, DBT. This ensures the benefit reaches to the intended beneficiary. Aadhaar has enabled the DBT programs to meet the following objectives, like deduplication to avoid the pilferage, authentication-based benefit delivery, large-scale DBT transfers. Some examples of saving in DBT programs up to the March 2022. We have saved 16 million USD in the food subsidy, 8.7 billion in the LPG subsidy programs, and 4.9 billion we saved in this is the Indian employment program, Manirga, and we saved 2.2 billion in the fertilizer subsidy. Another use cases in Aadhaar-enabled payment system, AEPS, that allows interoperable and financial inclusion transaction at the point of scale. So, this micro ATMs, last mile banking, this is for the areas where there is no, you can say the village areas. So we provide the banking services in form of cash deposit, cash withdrawals, balance inquiry, mini statements, or fund transfer, and Bhim Aadhaar Pay. In credit worth of USD 1.7 billion was dispersed through the account aggregator framework. So here account aggregator, this play important role from the transferring information from financial information provider to financial information user with the help of consent request and approval of that consent request. This is only done through the authentication enabled by the Aadhaar. As on of April 2024, 72.4 million account has been linked. Aadhaar authentication in the form of good governance. So in India, 10 million plus families, they are the pensioner families. So previously the pensioner, they have to submit their life certificate to the concerned bank or any disbursing agency. So issues physical presence on, it's very difficult in the old age, and also the worn out fingers, they lead to increase the failure in the fingerprint authentication. So as a solution, instant face authentication comes. This also reduces the time from 20 days to less than 3 days. And another, establishing identity during the property registration. This is also the important good use cases. Affixing all the 10 fingers of buyers, sellers, and witness in the property documents. So in the absence of real-time authentication, multiple person, they can come and they can claim that they are the actual owner of that property. So identity impersonation stealing of fingerprints, impressions, these type of issues has been resolved by the instant biometric based authentication of buyer and sellers. So this avoids the identity impersonation. Verification of income tax, ITR, 80 million income tax ITRs are filed every year. So previously they have to send for verification, they have to send the physical copies, but Aadhaar makes the life very easy. So instant verification along with Aadhaar OTP can be done, and also reduces the time in the processing time. Previously it will take around 90 days, now it reduces up to the only 15 days. Aadhaar is the integral to the friends. Aadhaar not only limited to the any financial sector, it also played an important role in the health sector also. So Ayushman Bharat digital mission that seeks to digitalize the complete health ecosystem. So Health Ministry launched one Aadhaar card in 2021, so that the patient, they need to carry their physical records, file reports, and other things, medical related histories. So digital registries of patients, health beneficiaries, all this has been comes in a complete ecosystem. So Aadhaar is used for the onboarding and consent management. So Aadhaar card is generated with the help of this Aadhaar within a few seconds. And consent for data sharing using the Aadhaar authentication can be done. Means only after the consent has been taken by the patient or his attendant, then only his medical record is shared. Digital signing of document. This is also Aadhaar makes is very easy. Instant verification using the Aadhaar or OTP can be done. Easy access anywhere on the internet enabled services. Friends, consider a situation where there is no internet connectivity, or it's very difficult for government to set up highly technical infrastructure. In such cases, and when needs arises to verify any person. So here digitally signed UIDI tamper-proof QR code is there. So easily that person, by scanning that QR code, that person can be verified. So there is no need for internet connectivity and technical infrastructure. And one important thing, and no need for UIDI involvement here. How this impact comes, the impact of Aadhaar. Aadhaar impact across various diverse sectors like social protection, financial sectors, good governance, and many more. In social protection in India, more than 2,300 plus central government and state government schemes are there in agriculture, foods, healthcare, education, employment, LPG. In good governance, e-sign, income tax, attendance, life certificates. In financial services, banking, mutual funds, insurance. In communication sector, telecoms, voice SIM issuing, RWS, and hotels. So Aadhaar-based DBT have led to the saving worth of USD 42 billion since 2013. And it also removes the more than 100 million fake beneficiaries, fake ghost beneficiaries. So actual benefit has been transferred to the concerned person. So with Aadhaar and other government initiative, banking penetration is shoot up to from 20 to 80% in a just 9 years. We have a benchmarking competition. So this is the UIDI Bio Challenge 2024. So get ready for the India's first biometric solution challenge. What is the Bio Challenge? Bio Challenge allow the researchers and the biometric solution providers to evaluate and benchmark the performance of their biometric SDK against other participants within each challenge. This is the India UIDI Bio Challenge 2024 evaluation parameters of SDK benchmarking marking competition in the false match rate, false non-match rate, false rejection rate, and false acceptance rate. We are inviting for registrations. UIDI invite biometric solution providers, researchers to participate in the Bio Challenge 2024. to evaluate the performance of their biometric matching solution for multiple modalities. You can register. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for staying within the time limit, Dr. Pratap. The sheer scale of things in India is extraordinary. Billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of people, a billion people, etc. And your presentation was very rich. Before we come to Tunisia, and just to note that Monsieur Soltani will be speaking in French, so please prepare your interpretation for those of you like me who do not understand French. But Dr. Pratap, can I ask you, you come from the Aadhaar usage division, right? You come from the Aadhaar usage division of UIDAI. How many people are in your division compared to, like, how many people work in your division? How many staff do you have?
In my division,
14.
14.
And how many are in the Unique ID Authority overall?
In India, we have.
Yep.
In India, we have 8 regional offices, 1 head office in Delhi, and some state offices also. So in this way, we manage whole digital identity program in India.
So how many staff in the central office?
In head office?
Yep.
Around 300.
Okay, so of 300, around 14 are in the usage division doing the use cases. Is that correct?
Pardon?
Of the 300 staff in the head office, there's 14 staff dedicated to Aadhaar usage.
Okay. The only 14 is dedicated for
Excellent.
Aadhaar users division.
So there's a dedicated division. That's very interesting. Okay, so Monsieur Soltani, I'm going to invite you, please. You have 15 minutes. Thank you very much.
Bon après-midi à toutes et à tous. Avant d'entamer ma présentation, j'aimerais bien remercier à mon nom et au nom de M. Habib Khalifi, président de l'instance de la prospection et d'appui à la décentralisation et chargé de mission auprès du ministre de l'Intérieur tunisien. Donc, ma présentation va entamer 5 axes, 5 différents axes. Donc, le premier axe, c'est le contexte tunisien en temps d'identification de citoyens, la stratégie mise en place d'un identifiant unique citoyen. Troisième axe, c'est le nouveau système d'identifiant unique citoyen. Et quatrième axe, c'est quelques principaux services dédiés aux citoyens. Et je termine par un retour d'expérience. L'année 2004 est une année très importante pour l'état civil tunisien, puisque c'est l'année de démarrage officiel de notre système national centralisé de la gestion de l'état civil, nommé Madaniya. Madaniya a pour objectif, autre que d'avoir une base de données centralisée, elle a permis aux citoyens tunisiens d'extraire tous les documents d'état civil de n'importe quelle municipalité dans toute la territoire tunisienne, sans faire retour à sa municipalité natale. Nous avons donc, comme plusieurs pays, une multitude d'identifiants sectoriels pour chaque citoyen. Tel que le numéro de carte d'identité nationale pour Tunisie, un identifiant social, un identifiant d'élève, un identifiant fiscal. Donc, ainsi, nous avons un système d'information généralisé et il touche des domaines très importants tels que la finance, le secteur social, l'éducation, le transport et plusieurs axes. Donc, ces systèmes, malheureusement, elles sont un peu enfermés, donc ils ne favorisent pas l'échange des données avec d'autres structures. Ainsi, on trouve des difficultés de mettre en place des services en ligne intégrés. Pour cette raison, donc notre grand challenge, c'est comment créer un identifiant unique citoyen sans chambarder les systèmes d'information déjà existants. Notre stratégie, c'est la mise en place d'un système d'identification unique citoyen comporte un référentiel unique pour tous les secteurs, indépendamment donc de leur identifiant sectoriel. Donc, de mettre en place un registre national d'identifiant unique citoyen, c'est-à-dire un identifiant pour chaque citoyen. Et la troisième, notre challenge, c'est comment créer un système de correspondance entre le nouveau identifiant unique citoyen et les autres identifiants sectoriels. Donc, on a commencé par traiter donc, avec des sites pilotes, avec l'affaire sociale, l'éducation et le transport. Donc, pour mettre en valeur, nous avons cherché à une refonte de notre système d'état civil pour prendre en charge les nouveautés technologiques, ainsi prendre en charge des besoins d'autres structures telles que le ministère de la Justice, le ministère des Affaires étrangères, le ministère de la Santé et l'Institut national de la statistique. Ainsi, les besoins de notre nouveau système d'identifiant unique citoyen. Donc, cette mise en place d'un nouveau cadre, essentiellement un cadre juridique, pour instaurer donc, ce nouveau système. Donc, on va créer et développer des e-services intégrés, orientés donc citoyens. Nous avons donc 4 textes législatifs déjà publiés. 2 textes sont principalement dans l'identifiant unique, ils ont une relation directe, et 2 textes qui sont en relation indirecte. Pour les textes qui sont en relation directe avec l'identifiant unique citoyen, nous avons le décret-loi numéro 12 de l'année 2020. C'est le texte de l'instauration de l'identifiant unique citoyen. Et son texte d'application, c'est le décret numéro 312 qui fixe les contenus de l'identifiant citoyen, ainsi la façon de gérer le registre national de l'identifiant unique. Et pour d'autres textes qui sont en relation indirecte, nous avons le décret loi 31 de l'année 2020 portant sur l'échange de données entre les structures. Et ainsi, son texte d'application, c'est le texte 777 de l'année 2020. C'est un principal texte pour l'interopérabilité des systèmes d'information en Tunisie. Donc, on va faire donc une transition de l'ancien système vers un système intégré. Nous avons donc pour le registre national de l'identifiant unique peut être utilisé par les autorités publiques et les administrations, les organismes judiciaires, les organismes privés chargés de gérer des services avec l'État. C'est notre presse modèle de nouveau système d'identification en Tunisie. Donc, nous avons une très grande relation entre le système d'information de l'état civil, puisque c'est le système qui alimente le registre national de l'état civil. C'est un numéro, donc pour l'identifiant unique citoyen, c'est un numéro. Il est composé de 11 caractères non significatifs. C'est une obligation de l'instance nationale de protection des données personnelles. Donc cet identifiant est pris dès la naissance ou lorsque, pour le cas de prendre une nationalité tunisienne. Donc le système, nous avons on schématise quelques identifiants sectoriels. Nous avons une plateforme nationale d'interopérabilité c'est elle le tunnel entre notre système d'identifiant unique citoyen et les demandes des structures avec des identifiants sectoriels. Donc, cet schéma, nous avons donc le registre national d'identifiant unique, nous avons le système de correspondance entre l'ID sectoriel et l'ID national, et nous avons l'unité de gestion de toute cette plateforme, et nous avons donc un outil de contrôle qui permet aux citoyens, on a fait un espace dédié aux citoyens avec un accès sécurisé, et il peut consulter toutes les structures qui ont consulté ces données personnelles. Ainsi, il peut, en cas de qu'il a une ces données il peut donc faire des réclamations. Donc, dans son espace, il peut aussi intégrer ses descendants, ses enfants. Il peut consulter donc ces journaux jusqu'à l'âge de 18 ans. Ainsi, il peut donc faire des demandes de mise à jour de données de son état civil sans se déplacer aux municipalités. Et quatrièmement, il peut intégrer son adresse de résidence principale. C'est cette adresse à partir de laquelle on va créer donc notre référence adresse tunisienne. C'est le système de gouvernance. Donc, comme je viens de dire, nous avons un contrôle au niveau de l'INPDB, c'est l'instance nationale de protection de données personnelles. Nous avons l'unité de gestion de l'identifiant unique, c'est une unité au sein du ministère de l'Intérieur. Donc, les acteurs principaux dans l'identifiant unique, nous avons le ministère de l'Intérieur, c'était le porteur de registre. Nous avons le ministère de la Technologie, c'est elle, avec le Centre national d'informatique. C'est lui chargé de l'hébergement et la partie technique du système. Et l'instance de protection de données personnelles, c'est elle qui assure la conformité de données des personnes. Donc, en 2022, nous avons un nouveau service créé, le Mobile ID. Le Mobile ID, c'est un service d'identification numérique. C'est de permettre l'identification numérique par son téléphone, qui permettent aux citoyens de s'authentifier d'une façon fiable. Donc, nous avons cette Mobile ID assure donc une liaison avec l'identifiant unique citoyen, le numéro de téléphone, ainsi elle a une certification électronique qui est prise de l'Agence nationale de certification électronique tunisienne. Ainsi, nous avons le wallet électronique, c'est chargé donc de paiement électronique des services. Donc, durant la période, parmi les services qu'on a abouti, donc l'utilisation de données de l'identifiant unique, nous avons, surtout la période de Covid, nous avons donc la distribution des dons financières, ainsi pour l'inscription aux vaccinations. Donc, c'est un outil de vérification entre l'identité réelle de la personne et son état. Donc, elle nous aide énormément pour résoudre ce problème. Ainsi, lors de fiabilisation de données de registre électoral, nous avons vraiment travaillé beaucoup pour avoir un registre fiable et mis à jour. Donc, nous avons donc plusieurs services qui utilisent l'identifiant unique et le Mobile ID. On a utilisé dans l'inscription dans l'inscription scolaire. Donc, ce service est 100% en ligne. Donc, nous avons 0 papier et nous avons un accès au portail de services de l'éducation nommé www.tarbia.tn. Nous avons donc aussi le service d'accès au portail des services en ligne. Il est appelé baweb.tn. Donc nous avons dans cette baweb, on a vraiment encouragé, donc surtout, on peut accéder à cette portail uniquement par le mobile ID. Pour cette raison, on a encouragé donc les citoyens d'intégrer dans ce système en leur donnant des services gratuites, telles que l'obtention de l'extrait de naissance électronique et ainsi de faire le contrat de transfert de véhicule. Maintenant, elle est en ligne. Pour notre retour d'expérience, donc je pense qu'on a surtout l'appui, donc nous avons l'appui politique. Il faut donc pour encourager donc ce projet, il faut avoir un appui politique. Nous avons une démarche progressive, agile, pour réaliser donc ce projet avec toutes ses composantes. Donc on met une stratégie de change management pour assurer le maintien et la mise à jour de nos systèmes quotidiennement. Merci beaucoup pour votre attention. Merci.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. That was a very rich presentation. While you get your headphones on, hopefully they're working, good for the translation. I have one question because I heard that in Tunisia that you've used the system to streamline the school enrollment for the students. Can you talk a little bit more, just for a couple of minutes, about that? Microphone.
Donc, nous avons commencé cette initiative parce que donc, les structures que demandent plusieurs gouvernements en matière de documents d'état civil, c'est l'éducation. Donc, on a commencé par aider donc, nos collègues du ministère de l'Éducation de créer leur identifiant unique élève à partir de notre registre national d'identifiant unique. On a commencé par la première année, c'était en 2019-2020, avec la possibilité de donner aux citoyens d'inscrire son élève, que ce soit se déplace directement avec les papiers ou par ligne. C'est pour initier les gens à utiliser donc, le système numérique. Mais à partir de l'année 2022, l'inscription aux écoles et obligatoirement passe par une plateforme spécifique dédiée pour cette occasion.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So now I'm going to invite Eduardo to take the podium. As you're probably aware, Brazil is the current president of the G20. We had India last year and now Brazil, and I look forward to hearing about the amazing things happening in Brazil. Thank you, Eduardo.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for this kind invitation. Well, just before I start, I would like to express my condolences to all families in our state, Rio Grande do Sul, that is suffering right now an intense climate catastrophe there, and we are working together to rebuild the state right now. So I will try to resume everything that we have been doing in the last over these last years in Brazil. I will try to show to you some use cases and especially what is missing for us and where we want to get to. So here we go. Brazil is a very digital society, right? And I'm here calling what Singapore call it, what a digital nation is. So we love to use digital channels, and I want to highlight here our new electronic payment systems that we call PIX. PIX is a huge success in Brazil that includes more than 150 million people that now using day by day our electronic payment system. Brazil has around 205 million people total, right? So that's some kind of impressive And not mind-blowing numbers from India, but we are trying to keep the flame here. The Digital Government Secretariat was created in 2019, and some of the aspects that made us very successful in our digital transformation is we put all the IT sectors in our federal government under our control. So this is one of the huge success aspects that made us transform our state very quickly. Another thing that we have been doing there is to put some regulatory, some legislations enforcements to do that. So we have some adequate legislations for the digital transformation. We have the necessary budget to do it. We have the necessary team to do it. So based on a national strategy. So that's why we keep pushing. I will show some numbers around here. So, well, starting with the basic things, what we have been doing since 2019, the first thing that we do, we join together all the web portals that we have in the federal public services into a single sign-on platform that we call gov.pr. And we put some account levels for our citizens, depending on we authenticate them. More than up to 155 million people that use our gov.br platform to make any kind of public services. Besides that, we put a digital transformation plan that transform digitally more than 4,000 services in Brazil. I mean, everything in Brazil, every public service in Brazil, you can do it digitally. I mean, tax declarations, any kind of vaccination program, any kind of public exams, any kind of health care issues. Everything we do digital in Brazil nowadays. So, and the whole journey of the citizen is digitally, and this is a huge thing for us. And we integrated by interoperability program that we called Connecta Gov.br, more than 1.5 thousand systems in Brazil. So this made us save more than $1 billion per year in Brazil, and that's the political speech. Like my colleague from Tunisia said, this is also a political speech that we need to put on, right? Well, the consequence of that, we made a very strong digital ID in Brazil that also has an electronic signature infrastructure. In Brazil, you can sell your car, you can open or close a company, you can make a medical report, everything doing our platform there. We also have some use case about proof of life, mainly for those ones who needs pension benefits. So everything is it is done inside our platform. The citizens do not leave our platform to make some kind of proof of life or any kind of electronic signature there. Also, we have a wallet. I was talking to Adam earlier. I think there will be a discussion panel here about wallet, mainly about security, about wallet, so we are very interested about that. We are very attentive what Europe is doing right now in ADAS 2.0 about interoperability and security of wallet. And we have some kind of desk to attend as people, most the low-income population that need some kind of inclusion in our digital systems. Well, I have an institutional video. I hope it works. If not, I will continue there. Thank you very much. Basically, what's our problem? I mean, we are doing a great job there, but there are mainly two problems in Brazil. First of all, we do not have primary identification secure enough for everything. Why? For doing our digital government process, we are using many ID databases. So we are using the electoral database. We are doing the driver's license database. So it's very fragmented in Brazil, the process of ID. So we need to correct this mainly because of frauds, right? So this is a very important issue for us. And the second thing, that our architecture was not built to support all the transactions in the private sector. So we need to correct this way, to expand our solutions to the whole country. So that's exactly what we are doing right now. Fundação Getúlio Vargas is a very respected foundation in Brazil, did the math for us. And Brazil is losing right now because we did not take care of those two things. Brazil is losing almost $20 billion per year by not doing this, by not having a unique and secure primary identification and not expand our solutions to the private sector, for every transaction that we have on the private sector. So, like I told, that's what we are under constructing right now. So, Brazil, from last year from now, we implement a new program that we call the New National Identity, basically what everyone is doing right now. So we establish a new central databases, a biometric national databases by a unique number and everything that works in a secure ID. We have a new document. This new document is linked to our gov.br platform. So those ones that issued the new document is already receive the higher level account in our gov.br platform. So we are pushing this really hard. This the numbers from last week. We have more than 7.3 million people that already received your new document. We expect in the next 3 years to have more than 80% of our population in these new proceedings. And I hope you push this really hard, right? So you can see by the graph that this year we are pushing really hard our population. We are requalifying, refraining all of our population into the new system. Other thing that we are doing, and India is a great benchmark for us, we are transforming our architecture into a really DPI concept. And I mean, we are looking for mainly about scale things up, about security, everything up, about the consent mechanism that we need to put, and sustainability of everything. So we are now studying really hard about this, and when we are going to push for in the next year, 2 year maximum, we are going to put this new architecture in working for the private sector as well. And of course, by doing that, we are going to put the legislations that will posit the concept of DPI. Actually, we are doing this in G20. We ask countries to give general principles about digital identity and general principles about DPI. We want to consolidate that theme in G20. And this is the main aspects that we are putting in a legislation in Brazil. We will put a specific legislation in Brazil about DPI there. Some of our challenges, of course, governance is a challenge for us. We have a different kind of segment in the links, the civil register, and the new identity system is a challenge for us because we have different governance there in Brazil about this, but we are going to do in this new national system that we are putting together. Some kind of technology process, like I told, we are rebuilding our architecture to fulfill the private sector. Decentralized identity, well, 5 years ago, we loved about what is going on about decentralized identity. Nowadays, not so much. So if you have any kind of insights, I am not single, Jonathan, but I want to fall in love again about decentralized identity. We don't think that will work for every case in Brazil. So as I told, I am here to listen to you if you have any kind of insights about that. And AI, I think everyone is worried about AI, the good and the bad things about AI. We are deeply studying what will be the nature, mainly the bad nature of AI, mainly in the authentication systems, mainly in deep fakes, deep voice, and kind of that can disturb our mechanisms over the next years. And I will just leave for my final comment a provocative issue here. Maybe we need to seriously start to discussing about a global ID standard, a global ID framework for everyone. I know Europe is doing this kind of work in South America. I don't know if Africa is doing some kind of work about this. I think over the past years, we have been doing a great job in passport, of course, a small case scenario. But I think we need to start to make some discussion about one kind of global ID standards. I know a lot of issues that are coming, sovereign questions, trust questions, interoperability questions. Yes, a lot of things that we need to cover. But I think it's one provocative way to construct this, right? So that's it. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eduardo. That was an outstanding presentation. I learned a lot, and thank you to the operator for taking us to the Slido. We have a bunch of really good questions. Now, Eduardo, I'm going to start with you because there's a really pertinent question here. Has digital government and digital identity played a significant part in reacting to the current natural disaster in Brazil?
Yes, actually we are because we have done a great job in a digital identity. You know, we can push this very quickly. Like here now in São Paulo has some kind of disaster last year. Now Rio Grande do Sul, we can push the payments of our citizens, any kind of social benefit payments very quickly in Brazil by doing face recognition in any part of our state. So play the central role to have a digital government that we can authenticate almost everyone in Brazil, at least one member of the family, you know, to give some kind of this payment and everything else. So that's exactly what we are doing right now in Rio Grande do Sul. So that's very, very important thing for us.
Thank you. And unfortunately, as the effects of climate change increase, that's increasingly going to be an important use case. So now I'm going to come back to you now, Emily. This question here from Imad. How do banks handle the storage and management of data obtained from PhilSys to ensure compliance with data protection regulations? Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Number one, we have a strong data privacy law in the Philippines, and part of our onboarding process guidelines is that all agencies that will want to integrate with PhilSys have to show proof that they are complying to the Data Privacy Act. So this is a submission of at least a sworn statement that they are doing privacy impact assessment and VAPT prior to integration to the PhilSys. Next is we have also adopted tokenization in PhilSys. So the permanent number of PhilSys in PhilSys is called PhilSys number or the PSN. And we have developed a derivative of PSN that can be used for transaction, which is called the PhilSys card number. So you can actually relate the PCN as your card number in your credit card or ATM card, and the PSN as your account number. So what people can use in their transaction is just the PCN, to protect the integrity of the permanent number, which is the PhilSys number. Other than that, we have also developed back-end tokens that are seeded through the data, that will be seeded to the databases of relying parties. So the citizen who owns the PSN don't have an idea what is this back-end tokens that are seeded. Actually, we've done this to facilitate interoperability of the different databases of relying parties by providing sectoral tokens also.
Fantastic. Thank you, Emily. So, Dr. Pratap, the question there, UIDAI recently announced the launch of ANCS, a new type of identifier that people can use for authentication. May we know what the expected benefits are? But before you answer that, what is ANCS?
This is the new identifier. Basically, purpose is to strengthen all this virtual ID and this biometric authentication mechanism. So the purpose is how this will benefit in this way.
Yep. Okay. Is this something that's already launched or will launch soon? The ANCS.
Pardon?
Is it live in production now?
No, it's not live now. It's
okay.
Ongoing.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So for Tunisia, there's a question in French. I'm not going to, yes, it's that one there, La Tunisie. Do you mind responding to that question?
Je pense, j'ai pas vu donc la question. Si quelqu'un donc qui a posé peut donc, je peux.
I'm not going to try and pronounce in French. I think, okay, well, while we work that out, maybe on Brazil. So is gov.br built wholly by the government, or is there private sector involvement? Tell us more. There's a second part. Tell us more about Connecta from the point of view of privacy. For Eduardo, Mr. Eduardo.
Sorry again, Jonathan. The question is about the use of private sector
in building gov.br, the whole ecosystem, the portal, etc.
Okay, for some, we have three account levels in Brazil: the gold, silver, and bronze. And you use bank authentications. Our banks is inside our platform to deliver for our citizens a silver account. So that's the kind of buying that we do in the private sector. Like I told, we want to expand our solutions to every transaction in Brazil, including the private sector transaction. And I mean, if you want to make some kind of arrangement, payments, everything that you do in the e-commerce, banks, security, I don't know, any kind of private sector, we want to expand our solutions to embed this kind of authentication mechanism. So that's exactly what we are doing right now. So maybe in the next year, I will try to show you how we are successful in this.
Okay, and the second part about Connecta, can you talk a bit more about what privacy features are in that?
Well, the privacy legislation in Brazil makes that for public services, we only need to, make some security arrangements like encrypted data and everything on. And we just need to make transparency for our citizens. So we do not make any kind of consent mechanism for the public services. So for us, it's very easy to put on this kind of mechanism to work. So Connecta is an interoperability program that bind different databases in our federal government and make some data sharing into it. So it is not so hard to do in Brazil, this kind of program, because our legislation protects the public services to do that.
Okay, thank you. Monsieur Soltani, so I translated the question. I can read it out now. So the mobile app that you presented, is it available to non-citizens? And if so, how can they access it?
Donc c'est une application pour tous les citoyens qui ont un numéro de téléphone. Donc le process est entrer dans une plateforme de Mobile ID. Donc, elle passe le formulaire. Ainsi, elle doit passer une seule fois pour l'opérateur téléphonique. Ainsi, une fois elle est validée, donc elle obtient donc son Mobile ID. Donc c'est une mobile sécurisée avec un certificat de l'Agence nationale de certification électronique. Donc elle peut accéder d'une façon fiable et sécurisée. Merci.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Back to you, Emily. There's a question here about your enrollment. You have impressive enrollment numbers. In fact, I think when we were doing the rollout of PhilSys, you were registering 350,000 people per day, if I'm not mistaken. And per capita, I think that's the fastest of any country. And in fact, you probably registered too many because it created a backlog in the cards,
Yes.
right? So, but how did you mobilize the population to register so quickly?
Okay. Number one, registration for PhilSys is voluntary. It's not mandatory. So the 86 million is really a feat for the Philippines. When we kicked off with the PhilSys, it was at the height of pandemic. Fortunately, the PSA, or the Philippine Statistics Authority, has field offices and is very trained in data gathering. So we mobilized our field offices to do registration in the different parts of the Philippines. So the Philippine Statistics Authority has 17 regional offices and an average of 5 provincial offices in every region. So we hired a lot of registration operators in the different provinces, and that's where, and what we did, because it's the height of pandemic, we really actually went to the houses of the citizens, prioritizing, of course, social protection beneficiaries through the list that the Department of Social Welfare and Development provided us. And still, we continue our mobile registrations so that we can, you can see it's 94% accomplishment, and the remaining percentage are actually the last milers, or those that have IDs and do not have much need for another ID as it is.
Very good. Dr. Pratap, so there's a question here. It says health data, but let's just talk generally about Aadhaar data that's seeded. How do you make sure in India that Aadhaar number is not abused by the relying parties?
In India, health data is Ministry of Health. This ministry keeps all the health record, and here Aadhaar plays a role only for the consent sharing. Only after the consent taken by the patient or his attendant, then only that health his or her health record is shared. So in this way, the health record is in the safe mode.
Very good. So the next question is from Christina. She's asking if the ID cards in your countries, do women need to have their father or spouse's name on the card, or is it optional? So I'm going to ask each of you to answer this. PhilSys, do you have the father or spouse's name on the ID card for women?
Yeah, for women, we do not capture, actually for all the population, we do not capture the details about the parents. So it's limited to 10 demographic information, just the full name, the name, age, sex. It's not gender, it's sex, so it's either male or female. The birth date, and there are optional blood type, and there are optional information that we capture also, such as the email address, phone number, and marital status.
Very good. Dr. Pratap?
In India, Aadhaar and other cards, the women, they have option to keep father's name or spouse name. It's optional.
It's
and
optional.
Anytime she can change after marriage also. That can be changed in PAN card, income tax, or Aadhaar.
Yep.
or anytime she can change.
Okay. Mr. Soltani, is on the ID card in Tunisia, is it required to have the spouse or father's name on the ID card?
On trouve son nom et son prénom et le nom de son mari. Donc, femme 2.
Yep.
Oui, on trouve.
Okay.
Okay.
Eduardo?
The spouse is not one of the name that we put on the card, and the father is optional in Brazil.
Okay. So we have a few questions now on business models and pricing for verification. I know you're just and I'm going to ask all of you to respond to this. What kind of charges do you charge to the users of your system, if any? Emily, I know this is just starting in the Philippines, but what's the current thinking in the Philippines?
Yeah, at the moment, there's no charge for online authentication or even the offline authentication. We don't charge. Even with the first issuance of the ID, it's for free. But however, if they update their demographic information, we collect a minimal fee to cover the cost of the PVC. But that's it.
Okay. Dr. Pratap, do you charge?
For enrollment purpose, we are not charging anything. But if citizen wants a Aadhaar card in the PVC form, we charge only INR 50 rupees.
What about for verification?
For address update and other things, we are not charging anything.
What about EKYC?
We are not charging anything.
There's no charge. Okay. Monsieur Soltani?
C'est la même chose, c'est gratuite, donc on utilise aussi. Okay.
Eduardo?
I know you're not serving the private sector yet, but is this part of your thinking?
No, for our citizens, the gov.br platform is totally free. You can use any kind of service there. Eventually, when you're going to authenticate and QIC for the private sector, eventually we will need to look for this and, I don't know, some kind of charge. We will be ongoing there. So, but this is under construction right now.
You want to add something, Emily?
Yeah, I just remembered that there is a policy right now in the Philippines that we will not be charging the government for any authentication services. But in order to sustain the operations of the system, we will charge in the future the private sector.
Okay, very good. So looking here, because we have a couple more minutes, let's see what's particularly interesting. Okay, coming to you, Eduardo, on Brazil, there's a question about your mobile driving license, because that was on your slides. Can you tell us a little bit more about, are you following the ISO mobile driving license standard, or how's the usage, etc.? Can you just elaborate a little bit more?
What we use in Brazil eventually for the biometric authentication in Brazil, we use mainly two ID databases. One of our databases, the electoral databases, that has more than 130 million people that is deduplicated there. And we use our driver's license databases that has more than 80 million people in there. Mainly we use these to make the authentication process, the biometric authentication process into our platform. But like I told, this is a fragment process because we have a specific population into that databases, and we do not communicate to each other. So this is struggles for us. That's why we are rebuilding everything and putting everything into a central database, into a central ID database that, of course, that we are going to still use these two ID databases, but we are going to reinforce everything for now on. So,
very good. So we're going to wrap up now, but I don't know if any of you want to say any last words very briefly. Any advice for our friends in the audience? Emily, what's one thing you would tell them based on Phil says?
Just keep on registering and implementing your use cases, whatever challenge you experience.
Dr. Pratap?
Nothing.
Very good. Monsieur Solan?
Donc, je pense qu'il faut instaurer un cadre juridique dur pour faciliter donc l'implémentation de n'importe quelle solution.
Très bien. Eduardo?
I think the last quote, I think digital transformation is worthy. It's worthy for every country. So about inclusion, about making some facilities for our citizens. So go for it.
Fantastic. Well, I'd like to thank the speakers in this session. They all stuck to the time limit. They all provided very rich content. So please join me in a round of applause to thank them. And I just want to close by congratulating ID for Africa for its 10th anniversary. This is my 6th ID for Africa, and it's really amazing to see what has been accomplished and all the connections that are being made among the countries and a lot of the collaboration that has been enabled as a result. So I'm wishing ID for Africa another great 10 years, and as the World Bank, we're very pleased to be a partner and also to continue supporting several dozen countries in Africa to implement good ID systems, inclusive, trusted, and utilized. So thank you everyone once again, and please join me in another round of applause to thank our speakers. Thank you.